The Detroit Lions are closer to winning their first Super Bowl than most people think, and one of the main reasons is actually because of a person that some fans are starting to doubt, and that is General Manager Brad Holmes. Hey everyone, welcome to Nothing But Lions, where I talk about absolutely nothing besides Detroit Lions football. This is actually my first video, and I'm not sure if this is going to get more than like 5 views, but honestly, I've had some thoughts I needed to share about the Lions, and more specifically General Manager Brad Holmes and the Lions Super Bowl window. So recently I've seen some fans start to become upset about this current Lions team and the way that Brad Holmes and their front office seems to approach their roster building philosophies. The amount of why can't we just trade for Max Crosby and Brad never makes a splash move talk I see throughout the community is kind of intense. And before I give my thoughts, I just want to say I get it. You have every right to be frustrated after coming so close in the 2023 NFC Championship game and then following it up with a 15-2 season that ended with an immediate exit out of the playoffs. You have every right to be impatient, upset, and wishing this team would just do something because, man, the way both of those seasons ended sucked. And to follow that up with the heartbreak that is a 9-8 season without a playoff appearance just feels like a slap in the face to all Lions fans. With that being said, I would love if you'd give me the chance to explain why, in my opinion, Brad Holmes is actually a better GM for this team than you might think. First, I just want to briefly remind you of some of the draft picks that this front office has made since they stepped in 2021. I know you've heard this a million times, but I don't really want us to take for granted the homegrown drafted stars that are on this roster. I'm just going to list some players drafted in the last 5 years that I believe to be top 5 to 10 players at their position, some of them even top 2 or 3. Penei Sewell, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Aiden Hutchinson, Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, Jack Campbell. And these are all players that, if fully healthy, I believe would honestly go for at least a first-round pick if other teams tried to trade for them. I didn't even mention other players who are also amazing in their own right, probably top 12 to 15 at their position, such as Jameson Williams, Aleem McNeil, and in my opinion, eventually Tate Ratledge is going to get there. This is undeniably a top 5 stacked roster in football, and I've only mentioned the drafted players. Brad Holmes has had some sneaky good free agent signings over the last 2 years, such as David Montgomery, Roy Lopez, Alex Anzalone, Kevin Zeitler, and more. And I haven't even mentioned Jared Goff. They essentially acquired him as a throw-in for the Matthew Stafford trade. And if you look purely at statistics, he's a top 5 quarterback in terms of production since we've had him. Dude, Jared Goff has been an absolute baller for this team, and it's really hard to dispute otherwise. So what's holding this team back? What do they need to get over the hump? And I think one of the most objective ways to look at this is to look at the last couple Super Bowl champions, the 2024 Eagles and the 2025 Seahawks. And to be honest, if you look at these rosters, you don't see drastically more star power than what the Lions have. And you don't see huge blockbuster trades that result in forfeiting multiple first-round picks. You know what I see when I look at these championship teams? Health. I see a roster that's reasonably healthy and has depth. And I would argue that the Seahawks and Eagles don't have a single edge rusher that is in the same tier as Aiden Hutchinson. And you know what they have? They have a depth of guys who are all solid and can do their jobs, a rotation of D linemen that stay fresh and get after it. Players like Al-Qadim Mohammed, honestly, kind of fit this bill in my opinion. The thing is, if you make a trade for a star pass rusher like Max Crosby, you completely eliminate all of your opportunities to sign more depth and draft cheap stars. And you're one Max Crosby injury away from all of your resources disappearing on a single play. With the Lions' injury luck these last few years, I honestly think it's kind of insane to even think about putting that many resources into a single player. If I'm honest, with this roster, and a step up in coaching I think that we're going to see from year 2 Kelvin Shepard and the combination of Mike Kafka and Drew Petzing, this Lions team has a real chance at winning the Super Bowl if they can stay healthy. I honestly believe that if we plug a couple of holes on the offensive line and get back to running the ball the way we could in 2023 and 2024, this team is going to be really hard to beat. And this year we have more holes than we did the last 2 years, I'll admit that, but I do think Brad is going to do everything he can to fill them. I understand it's frustrating to see these teams make splash moves, but these teams don't have half a dozen star players that they are paying top market contracts. Do you know why the Green Bay Packers traded for Micah Parsons? Because they don't have someone like Aiden Hutchinson on their team. And they put all of their eggs in that basket, and the second he went down with a torn ACL, that entire team crumbled down the stretch. The Colts traded 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner, and then their quarterback went down, and they crumbled down the stretch, and now they have no way to rebuild from there. The point is, to win a Super Bowl, you need depth and you need health. And you need great coaching. And in my opinion, Brad Holmes has not fallen short in those categories. I'm honestly personally very encouraged by the language that the coaching staff has been using this offseason. I think that they're really ready to self-evaluate and tighten some things up on the coaching level. And once again, I totally understand why a lot of people are frustrated. It just hurts to see how good this team can be and see them fall short. But the reality is the Lions have multiple holes to fill this offseason, and we need all of the cash and draft capital we can to fill them. And I know it seems like Brad Holmes has not been on as much of a heater in his last 2 drafts, but I really want you to watch how Terrion Arnold was playing before he got injured and consider the value of a player like Christian Mahogany in the 6th round. Look at the rising potential of Isaac Tisslaw and Tate Ratledge, and people forget that you're not going to have a 2023 draft class again when you're picking in the late 20s and don't have multiple 1st and 2nd round picks. Brad has had less bullets in the chamber for these last couple drafts, and that being said, with the down year that was 2025, I think it's going to be really nice to pick more in the middle of the pack this year to get some real role players in this draft, and I'm just really excited to see what this team does in 2026. Anyway, that's just some of my thoughts that I've been having as a Lions fan on a couch at home. If you're one of the couple people who may have watched this, I really want to thank you for just taking the time to do that. I don't want to ask you to like and subscribe because I can't expect that from anyone, but if you value these thoughts at all and you feel like I've earned it, it would mean a lot to me if you wanted to continue to follow along with this channel. I appreciate you greatly, and I'll see you next time.